welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you here again. We're just getting ready to get underway, so let's buckle up. A lot of fallout from the debate. I mean, that continues to be the huge story this morning, was the debate, and a lot of reaction. So we'll bring you up to speed on all of the reaction that occurred yesterday. So that's coming up here shortly. Again, thanks for being here. Hit that like button. Smash that like button. I really appreciate it. It's great to have you along. Hope you had a great weekend.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
I love the show.
All right, there we go.
Americans love a winner.
I got to relearn the board every Monday. It shouldn't be that
I don't
way.
believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along. Well, a lot of fallout from the debate last week. You know, we talked about it on Friday, and a lot of strong reaction from you on Friday morning, the morning after the debate. And I think I said on Friday, you know, expecting a lot of fallout as the day went on, and that continued into the weekend, because the big story this morning is now the president's not going to drop out. Some Democrats are saying that he should drop out. The Biden family apparently is encouraging him, according to reports, encouraging him to stay in the race. And if Joe Biden makes a decision that he will stay in the race, then that's pretty much it. I mean, there would be no way to force him out of I don't believe so. So there's a lot of different opinion out there on this. So let's get to some of the remarks that were made on some of the Sunday shows yesterday. The Democrats are ruling this idea out. Hold on. I want to get in the right place here. So forgive me, I got a ton of stories on this morning. They're saying the president dropping out right now. This is coming from the White House, or in the Biden campaign, I should say. Biden campaign is saying it would be chaos. If he were to drop out right now, it would leave Democrats with absolute chaos. And he said, first of all, this is the president's deputy campaign manager, Rob Flaherty, sent out an email to supporters. And he said, first of all, Joe Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee, period. End of story. Voters voted. He won overwhelmingly. And if he were to drop out, it would lead to weeks of chaos, internal food fighting, and a bunch of candidates who limp into a brutal floor fight at the convention, all while Donald Trump has time to speak to American voters uncontested. Now, that's coming from the Biden campaign, one of the president's campaign managers, saying absolutely not. It would be just sheer chaos if the president were to drop out. The president apparently also met with his family over the weekend. And CNN says that his family encouraged him to stay in the race. They are not encouraging him to get out. They are encouraging him to stay in the race. And I think I saw at Breitbart this morning, Hunter Biden perhaps among those most forcefully, passionately telling his father to stay in the race. So the president's family, now this is from CNN, including First Lady Jill Biden, son Hunter Biden, and their grandchildren, convened at Camp David for a previously scheduled get-together. They implored the president to keep fighting in his bid for re-election. So according to Biden advisors sharing this information with CNN. One advisor described family members as offering their unequivocal support. And it's the president's debate preparation team that they're hammering. They're apparently upset with them. And that's where their frustration is with those who helped Joe Biden prepare for the debate. I would have thought, and even some of Biden's supporters are saying they worked him too hard. This is they worked him so hard, and that he was tired and he was not feeling well. He had a cold. We were hearing that on Friday morning, the president saying he had a cold, so on. Is it that they worked him too hard, or is it that he's 81 years old, right? I think he's 81 years old. 81 years old. So CNN says the shock of the CNN debate is still settling in for many, with the president and those close to him in the early stages of processing the immediate fallout. The family's view that Biden must keep fighting could shift in the coming days if the downward spiral continues. Here's the thing, though. The Democratic convention coming up very quickly, and I don't know if he did not make a decision over the weekend, is he likely to make a decision this week? Now, I don't know. I don't know him. I'm not privy to these conversations. But seriously, Friday would have been the worst, right? You had that performance on Thursday night. Friday would have been the absolute worst. You would have been, oh man, this is bad. We've got to, unless the pressure comes from some that just absolutely pushes him out. I don't know that I see that happening, because it certainly seems to me like the wagons have been circling, and I don't know that there's going to be any compelling reason other than that bad debate performance. I mean, the idea of him running for re-election, I think, was ill-conceived to begin with. But the family urging him to stay, I would hope if I had a disastrous something like that my family would be saying, you know what, please get out. Please get out. Let's take care of you. Let's get out. And so anyway, his family urging him to stay, and also saying he should axe some advisors. Politico reported that the blame was cast mostly on staffers, including senior advisor Anita Dunn, her husband, and Biden's attorney, Bob Bauer. Bauer stood in for Donald Trump as they were doing the debate prep. And also former Chief of Staff Ron Klain, who oversaw the debate prep. However, Biden campaign spokesperson Kevin Munoz said the aides who prepped the president had been with him for years, often decades, seeing him through victories and challenges. He maintains strong confidence in them. That's what we're hearing. So the Biden family, apparently, this is a piece from Newsmax, the Biden family also expected to talk about the best way to reassure Democrats that staying in the race is the correct decision. Largely now, I understand that I'm speaking, largely to conservatives. What would it take to reassure Democrats? And I'm not saying I have the answer. I certainly don't. It'll be interesting, certainly, to watch. So the White House staff apparently was shocked by the president's debate performance. Chandler West, who was the White House Deputy Director of Photography, on Instagram said it's time for Joe to go, according to an Axios story. He said, I know many of these people and how the White House operates. They will say he has a cold or just experienced a bad night, but for weeks and months in private, they have all said what we saw last night. Joe is not as strong as he was a couple of years ago. And he told Axios, he said the debate was not the first bad day, and it's not going to be the last. So more bad days. This is what he's anticipated, are more bad days for the president. And Axios then, and I've got this Axios story, I think. I get such a stack of stuff. Here we go. Here's the Axios story. Biden surrogates on damage control. And key surrogates for the Biden-Harris re-election campaign openly acknowledged yesterday that the debate was a rough display for the president. But they also pointed out to the dozens of falsities former President Trump rattled off on stage, framed Biden's policy achievements. I would challenge them to name one, let alone naming a list of them. Seriously, one. I'd settle for one. I don't think he could come up with a single policy achievement. So Senator Chris Coons is the president's he's the national co-chair of the president's re-election campaign, and he's a very close ally of the president's. He has dismissed calls then for the president to step down. He said the stakes of this race couldn't be higher, and the only Democrat who's ever beaten Donald Trump is Joe Biden. He said this on ABC's This Week program. And he said of Biden, he is our candidate for November. He has the best shot to beat him. So, but he also admitted that the president had a weak debate performance. And he said that that people came away from the debate. Now, he's talking about Democrats and largely, but he said, had either confirmed in their opinion to vote for Joe Biden or they're alarmed at the prospect of Donald Trump. What else is new? I mean, the left is always so alarmed at Donald Trump. Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia has been floated as a potential Democrat then nominee if Joe Biden were not to run for president. And he was asked on Meet the Press if Vice President Harris would be best suited to replace Biden at the top of the ticket. And he said he has great respect for Harris, but he said he once again said he's committed to the president. And he talked about any speculation about him then as a potential Democrat nominee was unhelpful, in Warnock's words. And he went on to tell Meet the Press, this is our moral assignment in this moment, to demonstrate to our children that we are better than the people who would re-elect somebody who is a pathological liar, a malignant narcissist, he said. Our country is better than that, and I think the future is bright under Joe Biden's leadership. So you're getting a number of Democrats weighing in. Representative Jim Clyburn, and he said it was just the debate prep that they had put the president through was just overwhelming. He was on debate, he was on prep overload, I think is what he said. And he said the debate preparation can be tough, but you've really got to do a good job of preparing the candidate, not just with information, but with style, with the deflection and the kinds of things that we did not see in Joe Biden the other day, or the other night, he said. So we've got 4 editorials now major editorials calling for the president to step down from the nomination. Let's start with the New York Times. Do you see this? New York Times editorial board wrote an editorial titled, "To Serve His Country, President Biden Should Leave the Race." And they said Donald Trump has proved himself to be a significant jeopardy to democracy, an erratic and self-interested figure unworthy of the public trust. He systematically attempted to undermine the integrity of elections. But despite that, they said at Thursday's debate, the president needed to convince the American public that he was up to the demands of the office. And they said Mr. Biden is not the man he was 4 years ago. Wall Street Journal also had an editorial saying that Biden's performance at the debate was painful, saying President Biden's halting, stumbling debate performance Thursday night showed all too clearly that he is not up to serving 4 more years in office. And again, I've just got to say, the whole argument about, this debate prep and it's overwhelming, it's versus what? Being the president of the United States? I mean, we're to believe that preparing for a debate is more problematic than being the president? That just doesn't fly with me. This is just absolute crap. And the more they shovel it, the more The Chicago Tribune called the entire debate awful, pointing to Biden and Trump's nearly minute-long debate about who had a better golf swing. That was not one of the best moments of the debate. And at the Chicago Tribune, they said, "Send in the clowns. Don't bother. They're here." Unpacking precisely what happened Thursday and why it happened will take America some time. The Insta pundits are now just an echo chamber. Americans don't need partisan analysis of something they saw with their own eyes. Kind of a great point. I would agree with that. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution also said it was time for the president to pass the torch to another Democrat. The unfortunate truth is that Biden should withdraw from the race for the good of the nation that he has served so admirably for half a century, said the editorial board. There is precedent for a president duly elected to step aside gracefully in the national interest. And they called the president's retirement necessary, was the word they used. And then, of course, there's always nonsense out there. The Philadelphia Inquirer. No, it's Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump who ought to be the one to leave the race. Oh, crazy. They say, yes, the president's performance was a disaster, in their words. But they say the debate about the debate is misplaced. The only person who should withdraw from the race is Trump. Oh, man. All right, CBS did a poll. 72% of Americans say the president is not only mentally and cognitively unfit to be president, but he should not run for a re-election. 72% in the CBS poll saying the president should not run for re-election. That's the big question. That's what you hear a lot of people responding to. I wanted to get you, I got a boatload of news I'm not even going to get to here. I don't think I'm going to run out of time. Representative Jamie Raskin said that I wanted to see where this is coming from. I think this was one of the Sunday shows that he was on. And he said that, or no, maybe a bit of podcast, He said discussions are taking place about the president's future. And Jamie Raskin said, this is what a real political party looks like, and this is what a real political party does. Obviously, there was a big problem with Joe Biden's debate performance, and there are also just a tremendous reservoir of love for Joe Biden in our party. So this makes it a difficult situation for everybody. But there are very honest and serious and rigorous conversations happening at every level of our party because it is a political party and we have differences in point of view. He said we're having a serious conversation about what to do. One thing I can tell you is that regardless of what President Biden decides, our party is going to be unified. Our party also needs him at the very center of our deliberations and our campaign. And so whether he's the candidate or someone else is the candidate, he's going to be the keynote speaker at our convention. He will be the figure that we rally around to move forward and beat the forces of authoritarianism and reaction in the country. So that was Jamie Raskin's reaction. New York Post has a story this morning. New details emerge about Biden's mental state and the steps staffers take to shield the 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. president. Have you heard that? You have people from within the administration who are saying he's a 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. president. And so when you're doing a debate at 8 p.m., well past 4 p.m., he certainly, based on what I saw, certainly did not appear to be up to the challenge. So we'll get into that. As again, just a lot of reaction. Bill Maher was just dumbstruck on his show, Real Time with Bill Maher. He joked that Biden crapped the bed so hard that his new Secret Service code name is Amber Heard. That's what he said. Wow. Yeah. 6:27. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Partly cloudy and 63 this hour, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello News Talk 13.
All right, we've got news headlines coming up here in just a few moments.
Tires. See in-store details about how to get rebates from major tire manufacturers. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Kitchens and windows, unlimited, just look what we can do.
Bob Vila said there are 5 reasons to replace your windows in the summer. 1. Beat the bad weather. 2. Enjoy the cooling costs. 3. Savor the seasons like autumn breezes. 4. Silence the harsh sounds of summer.
Yeah, this is just crazy. The reaction to the story is just huge.
From that flying baseball or branches from high winds.
Bob Vila is right. And Weather Shield can help with all.
Just checking on time here. A lot of the stories that are trending, and that's a big stack of stuff. These are stories trending from the last few days, and a lot of it debate. The question you just heard me talking about. Just crazy. All right.
You want to learn how to cook? How about I keep ordering takeout?
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Got an email from Sean,
So when someone asks, how's your French?
and he says, I'm not surprised Joe is staying in the race.
Now try
He says Joe is a narcissist who won't give up the power he thinks he deserves. The rest of the time, he's just happy with all the ice cream he can eat. Jill doesn't want to give up the trappings of power and have to go back to Delaware. Hunter is still hoping for a pardon, Sean says. So I'll be opening up the phone lines later in the program, getting your reaction.
Information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
.30, partly cloudy and 63. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Stories that Joe's following this morning. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum says President Biden is not capable of serving as commander-in-chief. Burgum was on Meet the Press yesterday. Also, the power coming on gradually to residents in North Sioux City and the Cook Lake area. Details on those stories on the way. You're listening to Kello.
Ms. Foster, the last Supreme Court opinions of the term come out starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, including one about legal immunity for former presidents.
Former President Trump's team argues he was acting in his official capacity as president and therefore can't be charged for his actions to contest the 2020 presidential election results. Prosecutors argue the office of the presidency does not protect a commander-in-chief from legal prosecution.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz, President Biden's family is reportedly telling him to move past last week's bad debate and stay in the race. Delaware Senate Democrat Chris Coons on ABC's This Week.
The only Democrat who's ever beaten Donald Trump is Joe Biden. He is our candidate for November, and he has the best shot to beat it.
Wyoming Senate Republican John Barrasso.
The Democrats are going to have to make their own decisions about how to handle this terrible situation that they have put our country in.
Senator Barrasso on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum says President Biden is not capable of serving as commander-in-chief. Appearing on NBC's Meet the Press yesterday, Burgum weighed in on the first presidential debate of the 2024 election.
We're at a greater national security risk today than we were on Thursday because the commander-in-chief showed that he's not capable of serving.
Burgum argued that the U.S. is facing a greater national security risk today because the nation's adversaries saw Biden as not capable of serving. This comes as calls are growing for Biden to step aside after he struggled during Thursday's debate.
Everyone's talking about should Joe Biden even stay in the race. That's never happened in our history. It was such a dominant performance by President Trump in this debate.
Burgum is considered to be on Trump's shortlist for vice president. The state of South Dakota is making $5 million available to help children who've been abused or neglected or have been victims of domestic or sexual assault. The money was approved by the legislature and governor earlier this year. Attorney General Marty Jackley's office has begun taking applications for the funds.
We are starting that application process. I have a team that will be reviewing those, and my biggest message to them is get these taxpayer dollars to the victims that need it most.
We have a link for organizations who have questions about the program at Kello.com. July is kicking off with more rain in the 10-day forecast. Rain is expected for much of South Dakota today. And as for the 4th of July, the National Weather Service says showers and thunderstorms are very likely on Thursday, 87% chance of showers in the daytime hours, dropping to a 55% chance in the evening. And the number one Sioux Falls Canaries won their 3-game homestand against the Kane County Cougars over the weekend. Yesterday, Mike Hart belted a 2-run homer in the 6th as the Canaries topped the Cougars 7-4. The Canaries fly to Chicago to start an 8-game road trip tonight. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Weather brought to you by Intech Cleaning and Restoration. If you need it clean, call the Intech team. IntechClean.com.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms will be around the area today. Our high temperature around 70, south wind 20 to 35 and gusty. Scattered showers and thunderstorms for this evening and the overnight. Low temperature at 64. Tomorrow, just a 20% chance of rain left over with a warmer high of 81. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Your source for the latest news all day, every day. Wake up with us and check back all day long. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Today, we begin Scam Week. Real scams hurting real people who have lost real money. Everything you hear is real, and it could happen to you. I'm Kim Commando for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Accelerate your AI workload today. Take a free test drive at oracle.com/Kim. The 78-year-old father of a Kim Commando Show listener received an unsolicited phone call claiming to be from an antivirus company. The father really is a customer of that company. The caller claimed he was owed $100. If he would just provide his bank account number, the money would be deposited. Instead, his entire account was instantly drained of almost $100,000. Have you spotted the scam? Companies never call to say that they owe you money. Second, never click on a link in an unsolicited email. Never provide your bank information. How did they get his name and number? A data hack, but who knows when and where. Educate your parents, grandparents, and kids. No one has to be a victim. Sign up for my free newsletter right now at getkim.com. AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry.
There's easily
Nearly billions of dollars.
over a half dozen stories here just on the debate. 1, 2,
The
3.
problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you
51 over 51 million people who turned
It's time
in.
to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud? Oracle Cloud Infrastructure.
Yeah, closer to 10 almost.
OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure.
Just on the debate.
Application
I
development
mean, it's
and AI
huge.
needs. OCI
Huge news.
times the bandwidth of other clouds. Offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing. And of course, nobody
I want to thank you for being here. I want to remind you, you can email me anytime, greg.belfrage@kelo.com is my email address. If you want to drop me a note, I appreciate them.
8x8 and Databricks Mosaic. Take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/Ken.
Coming up, we'll run down stories that are trending.
Oracle.com/Ken.
And on Mondays, I will choose stories that were trending then also through the weekend. So some of these have been trending for the last couple of days. So they become a little bit dated, but still gives you a pretty good overview of what's going on out there that's interesting, people that they're clicking on, want to read more about.
Bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 646-646-2667 today.
For over 70 years, Southeastern Behavioral Healthcare has provided directions for life to children, adults, and families. With services from therapy and counseling to crisis intervention, they are...
I also want to let you know that, of course, we got the 4th of July holiday coming up this Thursday. I'll also be gone Friday, and then I'll be gone all of next week. I'm taking vacation all of next week. So again, I'll be gone this Thursday, Friday, all of next week. So just be mindful. Nothing, unless they fire me on my way out the door. It's, I don't have any indication that they'll do that, but I'm just taking a planned vacation. So don't worry about me.
That's yesterday's news. Knox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't...
We have fairly long periods where we cannot take vacation per company policy. And so have just entered one of those periods where we can. And the 4th of July weekend is a great time to be off, so, and celebrate. All right, let's check out what stories are trending this morning.
With just one touch, you can keep your finger on the pulse of South Dakota. The app is free at Kello.com.
Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
638. Partly cloudy and 63. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. And thanks so much for letting me join you. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Well, the Biden family gathered at Camp David to discuss the president's future over the weekend, and his family is telling him to keep fighting, according to news reports. This is from the Daily Mail over in the UK, and they say the president's entire family was there discussing his future following the debate. And the White House and the president's campaign blame a cold for his raspy speaking voice, so on. And others say, though, this is what the president is like on a day-to-day basis. And so now it has some Democrats wondering if Biden needs to be replaced in time for November. as his poll numbers slide further behind Donald Trump. Also, the president talking to donors over the weekend. This was on Saturday. And the president said in New Jersey, he said, I didn't have a great night, but I'm going to be fighting harder. He said, Donald Trump is a genuine threat to the nation, he said that Trump would undermine democracy. His economic ideas would worsen inflation, he said. So those were among his comments. The president and his wife attended, this is a Saturday afternoon campaign event in Hampton, New York. And then they went to East Hampton. And the president, I think this is investor Barry Rosenstein. His wife, Lizanne, said the president was a role model for what it is to get knocked down over and over and over again and get up. She said, we can waste time comparing debate nights, but you know what? It's more meaningful to compare presidencies. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Seriously, let's compare presidencies. You were around. How were things at the supermarket? How was inflation? How were gas prices? I mean, yeah, let's compare presidencies. How was the United States standing on the world stage versus today? How was the issue? How was the border during the Donald Trump presidency versus today? See, when people say that kind of stuff, I'm just, again, what convoluted worlds do they live in? It's not the reality that most of us, inhabit. Also trending this morning, this is a story from the AP. The president working on Friday then to try to calm down Democrats. And this was in North Carolina. And the president said, I don't debate as well as I used to. But he said, I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. He talked for about 18 minutes. And he looked better than he did during the debate, but that wouldn't be hard. And he went after Trump, his lies, waging a campaign aimed at revenge and retribution. And I hope you know that's untrue. Donald Trump has said as much, that if he were to win, that he would not be looking then to try to jail his political opponents, so on. So the president said, Donald Trump will destroy our democracy. I will defend it. Yeah, how well has he done at defending our democracy these past 4 years? So the New York Times editorials team is saying the president should drop out. This is actually a piece from Forbes. And they say the scathing opinion piece said Biden struggled to debate against Donald Trump Thursday night, appeared as the shadow of a great public servant, citing his inability to finish sentences and respond to Trump's prodding. New York Times called Biden an admirable president who's engaged in a reckless gamble, and said that other Democratic leaders are better equipped to handle it than Joe Biden. NBC News has got a story. Democrats are talking about replacing Joe Biden. That wouldn't be so easy. And NBC notes, party rules make it almost impossible to replace nominees without their consent, let alone smoothly replace them with someone else. Doing so would amount to party insiders overturning the results of primaries when Democratic voters overwhelmingly nominated Biden. He won almost 99% of all delegates. Yeah, how do you do that? If the president now does not want to drop out of the race, and it certainly is appearing, at least this morning, that he has no intention of dropping out of the race. The president also on Friday admitted that Trump had knocked him down on Thursday night's debate. So he said, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up. I know what I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth, the president said. So we had nearly 51.3 million viewers who tuned in to watch that debate. So just short of 51.3 million who tuned in to watch it, according to Nielsen. So let's talk about Donald Trump. Donald Trump, after the debate, he was in Virginia on Friday afternoon, and he took a victory lap. And Trump told the crowd, did anybody watch a thing last night called The Debate? He said, we had a big victory against a man who was looking to destroy our country, Trump said. Trump said Joe Biden's problem is not his age. It's not his anything, really. He has no other problem than his competence. He's grossly incompetent. It's not his age. It's his competence, Trump told the crowd. Also trending this morning was Vladimir Putin watching the debate. Apparently some are asking. Politico, I think, had a story, and actually this is coming from Reuters. The Kremlin says, no, Vladimir Putin did not get up in the middle of the night to watch the U.S. debate. And so Putin's spokesman said, I don't think you would expect the president of Russia might set an alarm clock, wake up before morning, and watch the debates in the United States of America. No, I don't expect that he would. I mentioned this on Friday, but it was trending over the weekend. California Governor Gavin Newsom saying he will not turn his back on Joe Biden because Friday morning the calls were already out there as to, among Democrats, anybody interested? Can we find anybody willing to run? And Gavin Newsom said no. Newsom said, I will never turn my back on President Biden, never turn my back on him. I don't know a Democrat in my party that would do so, he said. So he made those comments. Also, David Axelrod, who is a commentator over at CNN, and he said on Thursday night there was a conversation happening among many Democrats on Thursday night. There are going to be discussions about whether he should continue. And those discussions continue this morning. Continued over the weekend. All right, among other stories trending, you see YouTube star and LIV golf star Bryson DeChambeau offered to host a golf match between Donald Trump and Joe Biden following their quips about golfing on the debate stage. And he said, let's settle this whole handicap debate. I'll host the golf match on my YouTube, he said. Also, now this is big news today. The U.S. Supreme Court appears to be saving its most consequential ruling this term for last. So, justices today, which will be their final day of opinions, are expected to issue a blockbuster decision on whether a former president is shielded from criminal liability for official acts taken while he's in the White House. So that'll be something I'm sure we'll wind up talking about tomorrow. Speaking of the Supreme Court, they have denied Steve Bannon's request. Steve Bannon is a former Trump advisor, and he will have to report to prison today. So he was trying to stave off prison while he appeals his conviction, and the Supreme Court saying no, he will have to report today. Other stories trending: Inside Out 2 from Pixar and Disney has crossed the $1 billion club at the global box office. Doing it in record time. So it crossed the $1 billion mark yesterday, and they did it in 19 days. 19th day of release, and of already. So, in other words, that's they've risen to that level faster than any animated, movie in history. Pretty crazy. Hurricane Beryl made history as it approached the Windward Islands yesterday. It's the first Category 4 storm ever to form in June. So the storm at this point, not threatening the Louisiana, at least right now, but senior hurricane specialist said the Beryl is still on the small side. The wind field is a little larger. So tropical storm force winds estimated to extend up to 100 nautical miles from the center. So we'll likely be talking more about Hurricane Beryl in the days to come. Also trending this morning: 7 Hispanics, including 4 children, were shot in Crete, Nebraska, by a neighbor who opened fire from his home on the victim's property. So the shooter's identified as a 74-year-old man found dead in his home from a self-inflicted bullet, according to authorities. So he has had a history between himself and these victims, and it leads to the theory then that this incident in Nebraska may have been racially motivated. So this multiple 911 calls were placed to report an active shooter situation. Police responded, and this was police shared this information on Saturday. So this is either late Friday or Saturday. And officers rushed to the scene, and shots could still be heard. So authorities said there were about 15 people in the house at the time of the shooting. Nearly all were in the yard when the shooting began. It's a really unfortunate situation. Indiana State Police are asking for help locating the 14-year-old son of a former NFL player after the boy's grandmother alleged that his father gave him a black eye and a split lip. This is the son of Daniel Muir. Bryson Muir was picked up by his parents from a relative's home. but he was not with them when police pulled the car over shortly afterward. What happened to him in that short time? Where did he go? What happened? So police are investigating that. We've got 2 NASA astronauts who blasted off on a test drive of Boeing's new capsule. So they expected to head home from the International Space Station in a week or so, but it's now 3 weeks and counting for these 2 astronauts. NASA and Boeing are trying to troubleshoot equipment problems that popped up on the way there. And so 3 potential landing dates were called off. Their return flight was put on hold. Officials then saying going into the weekend there was no rush to bring them home and more testing will be done first. And NASA made it clear that they are not stranded in space. They wanted to make sure that Americans understand that. Also, Salish Jones, who was a member of Team USA's World Champion squads, was ruled out for the rest of the Olympic trials on Saturday. She sustained an injury warming up for the vault in day 1. So she is the 3rd major contender for the Olympic team to be ruled out due to injury in preparing for the trials. Also, a shark attack off of Florida's east coast left a man with a severe bite to his right arm on Friday. The man was immediately airlifted to a nearby hospital, currently listed in, now again, this story is several days old, but he was listed on Friday in critical condition, but expected to recover, authorities say. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks so much for joining me this morning, 6:57, this hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Well, thank you so much, my friend, for letting me join you this morning. I really do appreciate it. That's it for today's YouTube broadcast. Please smash that like button. Tell your friends about what we're doing. I would really appreciate it. Take care. I want to remind you again, gone this Thursday and Friday, and then all of next week I'll be on vacation. So I just want to give you a heads up. Take care. So long until tomorrow, and may God bless. I hate poking you in the face.